Time for another beer. Gotta get one quick.
Oh, rush me.
Don't leave your garbage on my desk. Put it underneath the desk.
No, I'm on top.
Put it underneath the desk. I don't want to
It
see
looks
it.
nice.
We don't need your fucking trophies then.
It looks nice. Oh.
Alright.
Okay, what are we starting with?
All the notes that you took.
Oh, wonderful.
If you had to face off against the MEG or the Monster Great White from Jaws, which one are you picking?
MEG 1 or 2?
What do you mean MEG 1 or 2?
The first shark or the second one?
Whichever one. I don't give a shit. Whichever one you prefer.
It's like a 20-foot difference. Second one's significantly bigger.
No.
Or who? Which Jaws?
Jaws.
Like OG.
OG.
I'd probably have to pick. If I had to pick one that I wanted to face off against, probably MEG.
Yeah.
Like, I would just rather be swallowed whole. Just
Yes, exactly. Like, bring it on.
get it over with.
That fucking...
The other Jaws is just so gnarly
It's
and like,
fucking scary.
yeah, scarier. It's like, seems like it's just so much more like intent on hurting you than it is like eating you whole.
Yes.
The one like doesn't even notice.
Yeah.
Like in between it and a boat.
Meg's just
Collateral
not really
damage.
coherent with it.
Yeah.
But,
The other one knows what it's doing.
yeah. And it's tangible. You know, it's not like a fucking computer generated image.
Also that.
Good to have you back, pal.
Yeah. Jony Jawscast.
Jony Jawscast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Jony Jawscast. Holy shit, what's it been? When was the last time we did an episode? We did it on Deep Blue Sea.
Oh man.
Back in... It had to be before Halloween. So
Yep.
it had to be like back in August.
Jesus Christ.
What is that? How many... Is that like 6 months, give or take?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. Well, we're back! New year? Same boys.
New Jawscast. Give or take.
Oi. And, yeah, I'm your host, Johnny Horror. With me is my co-host, my partner in crime.
Brian Cutler.
Hey!
God damn it.
You thought I forgot.
That's really open.
You sack of shit. Like I could ever forget. I was sitting there thinking before the pod, I was like, what is that thing that we were doing with his name for a minute? I was like, oh yeah, that was it.
What about super embarrassing thing you did that one time that we've been writing for a year and a half? Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's
Never gonna let it go.
wonderful.
Fantastic. How you been, man? How's things?
Yeah, you know, life is life. Sharks are sharks.
Life
all
is
good
life.
shit.
Sharks are sharks.
Can't complain.
We're putting that on a t-shirt. Jony Jawscast on the front, in the left breast pocket.
There you go.
In the back. Life is life. Sharks are sharks. Gonna be a hot seller. Limited time release.
Yeah. We'll make 4. Go for 2. 2 for us. 1 for Hector, probably.
Well, as promised, all the way back in like August, our episode that we are doing is on the MEG.
Yeah.
The 2018 film directed by John Turteltaub and starring Jason Statham. In the film, a bunch of dumbass scientists fuck with nature,
Accurate.
and then some balls to the wall shit ensues involving fucking dinosaur sharks.
In turn, get fucked. Mostly.
Blah blah blah. We've seen it all before. Deep Blue Sea, Jurassic Park, Godzilla. It's just, varying degrees of scientists fucking with nature and then getting fucked in return.
Yep.
Who did it best? We'll have to wait and see.
Right.
Brian, what and when was the first time you saw the Meg?
Your bachelor party!
Yeah!
That was the first time I saw it. Which I feel like it had just come out, really, right?
Yeah, it was that weekend.
Man,
It was that week.
Oh,
yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
We saw it on a Thursday. We saw it like on opening night or something like that. Yeah.
in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas, baby.
Went to a movie theater in Las Vegas.
It was my bachelor
You go see
party.
the Meg.
We were in Las Vegas, and I wanted to watch a dumb shark movie. And
Was it at the casino or near the casino that had the mummified shark at the bar?
it was there.
It was at
there.
the same one,
Like,
right?
I don't
Okay.
even know. There's no way that we could have.
That's not Rosie though, is it? The shark? That's a different one, right?
Yeah. No,
Okay,
I don't.
I couldn't remember.
But there's no way they just put up that display for the movie. So it's just
Right, yeah.
this odd thing.
Like
And
a weird shark themed bar.
I can put a link to that, we took a picture with it,
Oh yeah.
and I can add a link in the notes to the picture that we took with
Such a trip.
with that shark. 'Cause it's just what are the odds that we would go see a shark movie and end up at a casino with a shark that
Yeah.
sat over the bar?
Yeah. And it was right outside the theater.
Yeah.
I feel like it was very close walking distance.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as much as anything was ever meant to be, you just couldn't plan for something like that.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
like
fucking
a
know. We had never been to this fucking
Yeah.
casino before, and it was just we showed up there and we were just is that a
That's a fucking shark.
uh-huh?
And a 10-foot glass tank
Yeah.
and 10 feet above the center of the bar.
Yeah.
It was a big island of a bar, I remember.
Yeah.
And this big petrified, freakish looking mummy shark just chilling in this tank.
Yeah, we went and we didn't have
What are the fucking
drinks
odds?
beforehand there. We had drinks
We came after.
afterwards.
Yeah.
We had drinks there.
Yeah. Yeah, we went and saw the movie and then we came back out and went and had drinks at that bar and took pictures.
It was you, me, my brother, our friend TK, our friend Nick, and our frequent collaborator
Yep.
on this podcast. Or, excuse me, the Jony Horror Podcast, which is separate from the Jony Jawscast. Kaylin Behrman.
Yep.
Who, is with us in spirit.
That's right.
Um,
Usually right here.
Yeah, right there. We gotta do the three of us again, because that was arguably one of the best podcasts that we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was the first time I saw it though. That was
Yeah.
in theaters right when it came out.
Yeah.
I was thrilled.
that was the third or fourth time I had seen it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It doesn't add up, but no, yeah, that was the first time I saw it as well.
It was amazing. In theater, I loved it.
It was
Every time I've seen it since, it has decreased in ability. That's how it goes.
For me, I gotta say that viewing experience was really the theatrical experience itself was very memorable.
Yes.
The film, I remember walking out being just really bummed out because they didn't. I knew going into it that it wasn't going to be what the books were. I had read the
Right.
first two books in the MEG series.
You were well versed going into it.
And I've read I've read all the books in the MEG series, and they are all varying degrees of good to great as far as just a fun read. I really enjoy all those books. At the time, I had only read the first two books, and the first one Actually, they were both really, really good. But they definitely took themselves seriously, and they're really scary reads, those first couple of books. And then when we saw the trailers, like, you're like, all right, cool, this is not going to be what those books are. You can just tell that that's not the tone that they're trying to set. And it looked like they were trying to set a tone of, this is just wacky fun.
This is a Jason Statham movie, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Movie.
You're kind of like hoping for the transporter on the water, basically, with a giant ass fish. And
or Crank, you know.
Yeah, dude.
Whichever.
would pay so much money to see Chev Chelios take on the Meg. I would love that. Just like car batteries strapped to his nipples as he jumps into the ocean. Just to electrocute the shark. He survives it. It doesn't
My heart can take it.
But I digress. The wackiness and craziness that I had hoped for the film that was very much suggested in the trailer, it was not really what we got. So I was kind of left with this muddling, like, well, I didn't get the serious tone and scariness of the book, and nor did I get this outlandish, like, over-the-top, like, monster movie. I got something that was trying to do a little bit of A and a little bit of B, and we can discuss, will discuss whether or not they succeeded in that. But I don't know if I have any other seg here, but we can just go ahead and dive on in, for lack of a better phrase, into the Meg. This first episode, as per usual, Brian and I are going to talk about the things we liked, the things we didn't like, some of our random thoughts. We do have a couple of other categories that we're going to throw out. And then for our following episodes, we will discuss the making of the movie, and for this specific film, we will discuss the similarities and differences between the book and the feature film that we eventually got, and then we'll round it out with our final thoughts and probably what will be a 3-part show if I had to put money on it. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, well, hot damn. So without further ado, we are going to talk about the Meg and discuss the things we liked and didn't like. But before we get to that, as we tend to do on the Jony Jawscast, on our very first episode, Brian, as he's known to do, went off on a fucking wacky ass rabbit trail and decided that he was gonna start naming characters in the film based off of real life people and just wouldn't let it go. The example being Mike Brody in Jaws 4, which was our first episode, he said looked like
Barry Gibbs.
Barry Gibbs. And so...
Singer of the Bee Gees.
Yeah, singer of the Bee Gees, for those who don't know. Look him up, and then look up Mike Brody in Jaws the Revenge. And maybe you'll see some similarities, maybe you won't. But from that, we have created a category called the Barry Gibbs Award. And we're going to start off with the Barry Gibbs Award.
Yeah,
Who
jumping into
is the character that Brian thinks looks like another person in the world. So, Brian, please take
Am
it
I
away.
starting or are you going to start?
You're going to start. This is
you had a good one.
This is you. This is
That's
your
fair.
category.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it wasn't too hard. Ruby Rose in this movie, to me, especially the way they just did like weird slicked bangs and like not
She had a lot
dreadlocks.
of gel in
Like
her
just
hair.
everything's gelled into like these weird grips of hair.
Yeah.
To a point where when she goes in the water and comes out and it looks normal, the guy's all, "What's wrong with her hair?"
Yeah.
Because usually it looks like spider legs everywhere. Anyways, really had that hard like Mad Max vibe going as far as her look-alike.
Mad Max is in Mel Gibson or
no, Charlize Theron. That's her look-alike. Just the look. I don't know what it was.
You probably have to say the fierceness in her face.
That's
because
fair.
Charlize Theron in Mad
sorry.
Max is bald
Well,
as fuck.
yeah, but also true.
I feel like you're thinking more like Alien Flux. You know the one where she's got like the jet black hair and it's like kind of almost like combed to the side.
That's right. I forget about that one. They are very similar looking actresses, though. It's in the eyes.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
definitely in the eyes.
100%.
If
Eyes
I
and cheekbones.
If I had to make
That's
a
their
comp
thing.
between Ruby Rose and another actor, like I would say Robert Pattinson in the Batman. Which is ironic because Ruby Rose played Batwoman in the television series. So,
oh damn.
but there is a definite like his like emo hair in the Batman is totally the vibe that she's got going.
But you brought up another good one. And it was a hard second for me. After you brought it up, I could not get it out of my head the rest of the movie.
Rainn Wilson as God, what is his character's name in this movie?
Oh, I don't know.
Man, I had it pulled up and everything. Let's see. I am so embarrassed.
Dwight.
It
really
might
rich.
as well have been
Dwight.
Jack Morris. So Rainn Wilson is Jack Morris in this. I said looked like Ted Lasso.
He did.
I think there's a case to be made that
Absolutely.
he is Ted Lasso's long lost brother.
Exactly.
It was
the way
it's
it
like
was
the
outfit,
hair,
for sure.
and definitely the style.
The puffy jacket, the trucker hat look.
Yeah.
He had the facial hair, but he doesn't have it trimmed to only
Yeah,
a mustache.
exactly. He looked like Ted Lasso whenever Ted's having like a really bad day.
Yeah.
Like whenever Ted's
that's a
really
good way to put
depressed,
it.
like
'Cause
that's
if you don't put it that way, you're insulting Ted Lasso.
yes.
That's just not acceptable.
That was my comp for the episode.
Yeah,
I
that was
think
a good
that Rainn Wilson was definitely doing a shitty ass Ted Lasso impersonation. We got our Ted Lasso comp, and we got our Ruby Rose as Mad Max / Mel Gibson / Charlize Theron in Alien Flux / Robert Pattinson in the Batman as our Barry Gibbs Award. So that is going to be the Barry Gibbs segment that we're keeping going strong.
Yeah, baby.
How about we jump on into the good stuff? Brian, what did you like about this movie? What did you like about the Meg?
The first thing I wrote was that Jason Statham has 5 o'clock shadow across his entire head. Everything matches. It's amazing. And you mentioned, for a guy who is basically going bald, he wears it so well.
He is the one man that I have noticed rocks the like U-shaped hairline. Right. I don't know of any other man that can really rock it
owns it
as good as he can. It doesn't hurt that he's just so fucking handsome.
Yeah, and he's ripped.
And he's ripped, and he's a badass. Man can fight like a motherfucker. So, like, I don't know if, like, he's wearing that hairline or
we just don't
he
know.
Just made it his bitch. I just don't know which one is which.
It's part of his 8-pack. It's hard to tell.
But
I feel like his 8-pack had the same 5 o'clock shadow. I don't know.
It all blended very well, but that might have just been part of all the CGI that was happening. It's hard to tell.
You can make an 80-foot shark. I don't know. You should probably fix a hairline or two.
Yeah, who knows? You can blend it in with the rest of the 8-pack and make a 10-pack. The first thing that I have is that Jason Statham is perfect casting for Jonas Taylor. I know you've never read the book, but just the description, like, I don't think we get the best performance out of Statham in this movie, and I don't think that's his fault.
No.
As we kind of discussed, my understanding, and maybe we can kind of confirm this when we jump into the behind the scenes portion of this, but my understanding is that the movie he signed on for is not the movie we ended up with, basically.
Right.
That being said, like, physically, like, and spiritually, he is very much what I picture Jonas Taylor from the novel being, with the exception of his fucking 8-pack. He does have this, like, ordinarily Jason Statham has this, like, larger than life, just, like, don't fuck with badass, and he definitely has an element of this in the film, as does Jonas Taylor in the book. He is this man who has seen and done some incredible things, but is also very unsure of himself and very just understandably afraid with a lot of the circumstances he finds himself in.
Right.
And I think had we gotten a more serious approach to this film, Jason Statham would have played that version of Jonas very, very well.
Yeah.
I do think that he obviously has that acting capability.
Oh, he has the range for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like they were fighting against it. Well, he was fighting against them. Better terms.
Again, a lot of the issues with his performance in this film are not his fault. He's trying really hard to rise above some questionable material that we will get to. But all that said, I think he really is, like, I can't think of too many other people with the exception of, like, Thomas Jane, from your boy Paul Walker from Deep Blue Sea. Previous Barry Gibbs Award winner.
The Punisher, right?
Yes. Okay. I think he would have actually made a very good Jonas Taylor as well.
Ooh.
But I think Jason Statham is really good casting.
I agree, though.
Even if his particular performance in this film might not reflect that casting.
I think it lined up well for what it ended up being.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that he's capable of being an amazing actor, and he has that range.
Yeah.
But he is also a perfect, muscled up action movie actor.
And I mean, his performance is very tongue in cheek, as is most of the stuff in this movie.
Yeah. Do the best with what you can with an imaginary CGI shark and horrible writing.
With what is like a green screen greener than this background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good. What else you got for me?
My second one was how much I hate Rainn Wilson's character immediately when he steps on the scene, which is great. That's what they're going for.
Yes.
at first I was just like, oh god, like it's just horrible, and you want to like blame the writing, but then I was like, well, no, that's probably what they're going for. So damn, well done, and I threw it in the good section because I was like, I had like take it out of my bad section, and put it in the good because I was like, well, they nailed it kind of right off the gate because whenever they try to redeem him, you know, it kicks back into like some backwards thing where it's not supposed to be that way. You know, he's obviously the bad guy, and this is because of him and all this, you know, bullshit funding and blah blah blah. Like, yeah,
I feel like they couldn't quite like. He never becomes so unlikable to me because like I remember the first time we saw it, like when they hop in the helicopter and the guy's showing him the explosives. I thought he was gonna blow up the base.
Oh, God.
I legit thought that's where that was going, and that he was just gonna annihilate all evidence.
Yeah. Insurance, baby. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my god, this man is a monster.
Right.
He's
Here it
absolutely
is.
horrid. And then I was like, oh, he's just gonna go kill the shark. I was like,
okay,
he's
covering his
a
ass and
douchebag, but he's not. He's hardly is he evil. And even when he gives that speech where he's like, I'm sorry about your losses. Like, I came here to celebrate with you and I'm mourning with you. I do not think he's disingenuous.
Right.
I don't think I think he's a tool.
Yeah.
And I definitely think he's a coward, but I also don't think he's like...
He's not a villain.
I don't see him as like this absolutely terrible person. I see him as this guy that... Like, even when he's on the boat and DJ is freaking out about not being able to swim, he's like, dude, take a breath. Like, why are you freaking out?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't...
They just pitch him really well as, like, a rich asshole.
Yeah.
But he's never... And they never really convey it that way either. That he's, like,
he's never
evil.
He's never such an asshole that, like, I never buy that he doesn't care that people are dying. Like, I don't get that. The only time he's ever, like, evil, quote unquote, is, like, when he's, like, concerned about the money. That's, like, the most evil thing about him is, like, okay, like, this is, like, a very expensive summer camp. Yeah. And so, like, the one of the few evilest things, aside from, like, not alerting authorities and trying to handle it himself. Even that, like, I'm like, maybe it's because, like, Rainn Wilson has a natural charisma. Exactly. That I'm like, he's not wrong. You guys are just fucking up left and right. Yeah. And, like,
throwing money at this and you can't fix it.
It's also the writing is just not very good, where, like, you just laid in that he's just a dick, he's just a prick, he's just an asshole, but the writing kind of flip-flops again. We're diving into territory that we will cover later on, but I would never call him a villain asshole is like even pushing it for me. He's a douche, he's a tool, but he's just a I don't even think he's like warrants the terrible. They try and make him bad where he flips off the boat and he's like, you idiots, come back. And I'm like, yeah, no, they are idiots. They just left a man overboard. That is just terrible. Yeah. So, and I think I would be freaking the fuck out too if I was in like a whale like carcass's blood and there's a giant killer shark on the loose. Like, but I see what you're saying. The minute he walks off of that helicopter, you're like, ooh, there's an air of douche. Yeah, and I like to put it. That's why I was like happy to put it in the good section. So I was like, well, like right out the gate, you're like, this guy's a fucking asshole. Yeah, and we know who this guy is the minute he steps off of that helicopter. And it's like in the movie, like you were saying, like towards the tail end, where like everything's going wrong, and obviously the whole movie, but. They're like, they almost try and spin it like to like make everyone think, like remember he's bad, like he's the bad guy. You're like, kind of like too little, too late. And this one, like what they needed to do. Like, he's just a douche. Like like you said, like in the original Jurassic Park novel, John Hammond is really just this really conniving, unlikable billionaire. And
what a spin!
And they change it for the movie. Of course, he's the arguably the most likable character in the
100%.
film. But in the book, he is wholly unlikable, and it's all about money for him. He doesn't like his grandchildren, and he has a very grisly demise in the book. And that's what they needed to do. They needed to just make this very cynical, like, it's all about the money. Like, show me, like, why are we doing this? You better show me profits. Da, 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 da,
right.
Not this, like, sort of, he's joking, right? Like, he's joking, like, if we don't find anything, then I've just wasted, like...
Yeah, it was too much joke on the money number.
Yeah, and again, we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. But I agree that, like, right out the gate, he does
I did like it as a kid. Yeah.
Aware of who this douchey billionaire is.
It's
basically.
like honestly one of my favorite characters, the way they wrote it. I'm just like, okay, I'm into it. Because right out the gate, you're just made to hate him. Yeah. And you can kind of just lean into it, even though he's not a bad guy. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, okay. Yeah, they have fun with it. But, and it's probably not on purpose, but due to the rest of the writing, it's hard to say that
there's a lot of inconsistencies. My next good thing is the tagging sequence where Jason Statham has to jump into the water and swim towards the shark. I think it's a great suspenseful scene.
I agree.
I love the I want to say zip tie, but that's not what it's called. Just the wire that he's on.
It's like his cable or whatever.
Yeah. I love that whole
that was cool.
I love the Finding Nemo reference where he's swimming and he just says, "Just keep swimming, keep swimming." I love that. I think that's great.
There's so many good references that they plugged very subtly.
Yeah, there's definitely some good.
They did something well. It was some good subtle plugs here and there, which we'll touch on those. Yeah, but that was a good one.
I just like that scene, and I think it plays out very good. And when he's getting pulled back in and he launches out of the water and the shark just misses him. Yeah. You're like, whew, ha, I felt that one.
Yeah. As far as CGI goes, that was one of the better scenes.
You don't have to try too hard, honestly.
There's a lot of white water churning around. You can get away with a lot, but I was into it. Yeah. It was action-packed.
It's fun.
It was a good build-up to it where you don't think as much about the CGI. Yes.
Even though I think in that scene, that was one of the ones where I was like, look at the fucking sky! Yeah. Look at it! It's not there! What else you got? What else you got?
I put in the good because as soon as I saw them, it just came flooding back to me. My love for the two scientists, Toshi and the Wall, and their relationship when... in the beginning of the movie, they're all on the sub going down. I'm just like, oh, they're just such little homies. You can tell they've been just working together for years, and they're just like homies. Like, I just love it. And it's very,
yeah, it's pretty impressive that just in the little bit that they get together,
tiny,
you can tell that they're buds. You know?
I love that. Like, I don't know what it was, but like that feels like the best relationship in the movie to me.
Arguably the most believable. For sure.
Yes.
I would say with the exception of Mac and Jonas. Mm-hmm. And that's just because.
Good point.
And this is a perfect segue. Yes. That's just because this is my next good. Yeah. That Cliff Curtis as Mac gives the best performance in the film.
Hands down. Put the team on his back.
Yeah, I think we talked about this. A lot of actors are given material, and some really good actors, if it's really bad material, manage to rise above the bad material. Right. But most actors cannot. And I think there are some really good actors in this film. I think Jason Statham is a really great actor. And there are some fine performances in the movie. I even think Ruby Rose, who I don't think is like this incredible actress by any means, but I think she's delivered some good performances. But you and I both agreed that she is not doing her best work, and I don't think that's entirely her fault.
Also
I
true.
just think that they're not given a lot to work with in this movie. They're not given a lot character-wise, and they're certainly not given a lot dialogue-wise.
Yeah, there's not a lot of depth for those characters to work with at all.
That being said, the character of Mac in the novel is probably the best character. Right next, I mean, Jonas, the whole story is, all the stories are pretty much told from Jonas's point of view, more or less, him, his wife, and his children.
Interesting.
But Mac is always kind of like on the sideline. I don't think, I can't really recall too many of the times that the story is told from Mac's point of view. He is, for all intents and purposes, the loyal sidekick, but he's funny, he's kick-ass, he saves Jonas's butt on the regular. And Cliff Curtis just embodies that.
He has that humbleness to him for sure.
And the thing about Mac in the novels is that like neither one of these guys, like in the novels, they're both like straight through Americans. Particularly Mac is that sort of like gung ho, gun toting like American, like let's chug beer sort of guy.
Interesting.
Always like has a girlfriend or a girl, or is getting into some sort of trouble. So he's very different from this sort of like stable, kind of like well-minded, like sort of individual that we see Cliff Curtis play in this movie. That being said, the dynamic between him and Jonas is very much like at baseline, very much the same. They're brothers. I believe they serve together, at least in the novels. So they have each other's backs.
Yeah. They do a good job about that. Like when they come to like recruit him, like he's the key component, and like when they get him out there, like he's the key component to like get Jonas on board.
He always and, like both.
He's the one to calm him down.
Yeah, exactly.
Over comms and stuff. It's cool.
In this film and in the novels, he is always like this thing that brings Jonas back to like reality.
Yeah, he's like his anchor.
He's losing his mind about like, oh, so and so is doing this, or we got to get the shark. Like Mac is always like, dude, we got to reassess. You got to think about this, and this.
Right.
But all that said, Cliff Curtis, with the exception, I only caught like one line of dialogue we both did where it was like not the best, but it was also still
in comparison
leagues above everybody else's best.
Goddamn, what did he say? Now I can't remember.
I can't remember what it was either. It was something towards the end. It really was.
It was like something about a fish or whatever. I can't remember now.
Yeah, well, there was some one where it was something about like we're going fishing or something like that.
Right.
That was okay. Like if anybody else
passing.
Anybody else gave it like that would have been trash. But yeah, I think he does great. That's just because Cliff Curtis is a phenomenal character actor and has done a ton of good work. Some of the more recent stuff, Fear the Walking Dead.
Right.
He's in Doctor Sleep as well. And let's see. I just want to give him a little bit more of a shout out because
he really did put the team on his back.
He really absolutely did.
He had that like stoic moment a few times where it really helped anchor it a bit, which was nice. It needed it a bit.
It really did.
It needed a little extra,
a little bit of gravitas goes a long way. Looks like he was actually in the most recent Avatar movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. Let's see He's in Live Free or Die Hard. He's in Sunshine. Some of his more he's in Training Day. Yeah, some of his more genre related pictures.
Nice.
Anyways, Cliff Curtis
Classics
does really good work in this movie and rises above what is otherwise questionable material. What else you got for me for good?
The next one I put up was very similar to Toshi and the Wall's relationship, and it was Toshi's death. Because while they're trying to repair that ship, he is over there writing a letter for his wife.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is like the most heart-wrenching death scene in the whole movie almost. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of one that is more like gut-wrenching and like actually puts some like weight into the movie.
Yeah.
Of, like what they're doing is costing lives because everyone's just getting tossed around by sharks left and right.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, the way he sacrificed himself, the way he wrote his own note as he sacrificed himself, puts the note in the wall in his best friend's pocket, shuts the latch, like throws the lights, like just sacrifices himself for everyone, like.
Yeah, and
after you just have like this like 6 minutes or whatever of like them being like the coolest little duo of scientist buddies, you're just like, oh.
I think that's where you have one of those tonal whiplash moments where you're like, wait a minute, everything's been really kind of like jokey and pretty easy going, and then boom, he's dead, and then we gotta...
And it's right when you're just starting to see the shark.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this is like that teeter point. Yeah. Are we gonna go like full-blown ridiculous CGI? Or are we gonna be like, there's still some mystery like Jaws where you only get to see pieces of it still because you've only seen like its underbelly or it passing at this point.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, he's dead. Yeah. This is very heavy, and now it's fucking...
It's pretty much all jokes from there, even like after.
That was like the most emotional thing.
Yeah.
That's why I liked it so much, and then it's like, all right, shark murders, let's go. Sunday. Shark Mayhem.
Welcome to Shark Mania. Exactly. Our first victim is Toshi. Father of 2, married for 10 years. Oh, and he bites the
dust. Exactly. So it was one of my moments where I'm like, damn, that was a good scene. I'm like, all right, well, we're off the fucking rails now.
I can piggyback on that just a little bit. You mentioned, at that point, at that stage in the game, we hadn't seen too much of the shark. We seen like the underbelly. I have that there are some really cool shots of the shark. For every 15 to 30 shots of the shark where it looks absolutely ridiculous, we get one shot that you're just like, oh man, that is a monster of a beast right there, and that looks so cool, and they get the movement right, they get the weight of it right,
lighting,
they get the size. There's that one of the girl like paddleboarding and you see the shark underneath.
Whoa, killer.
I love the one that you mentioned where it's got the squid in its mouth and it's passing over. There's a great one where before I absolutely Suyin is in the tank or the cage rather,
right?
And the shark's passing by her, there's some really cool shots of the shark in the film.
Noticing you're bringing up a lot of the ones where you can barely see the shark.
It's less about like barely seeing the shark and more about movement.
Yep.
Anytime the shark is moving the way a shark moves,
it usually looks pretty good.
Well, it's like we talked about it, which like one of my next ones, which I put as a good, was it's right before the scene I'm about to talk about where like the little girl's down in the tubes of the like sanctuary thing and a little Roomba goes by with a shark fin taped to the top of it, which I just absolutely love. I think that's just fucking hilarious.
It was
like,
pretty good. I never noticed
somebody
it
on the
before.
set was like, I'll put a shark fin on this stupid Roomba as it rolls through the center of the frame. I'm just like, genius. But then the following scene is her coming face to face with the Megalodon as it stops nose to nose with the glass. And the first thing you said is like, they have to keep moving. I was like, oh, that's right. I didn't even think about it. Like, this is fucked right out the gate. Like, yeah, it's a cool, scary, suspenseful scene, but not really at this point. And it's like
Sharks just don't stop. It's not a thing.
Stop like that, yeah.
So
there are good key scenes. Damn, it looks cool.
But like, anytime they want the shark to move fast, they have it. It's the same problem that they had. And this is going into bads, and we're talking about goods. But let me digress here for a minute since we're talking about it. It's the same problem that they have in Deep Blue Sea, where like anytime they try and get the shark to move fast, you just like a shark of that size and that weight.
Yeah.
If you're a mako shark and if you're doing a mako shark and it's 6 to 7 feet long and X amount of pounds, I can see that. I've seen videos of mako sharks move that fast. Mako shark is the fastest
when you can really
shark
get going.
Those things fly.
Yeah.
But if you are what they're proposing as something near 100-foot shark, it's not gonna move the same. There's just gonna be a difference in the weight and the body movement. So when the shark is moving slowly, it looks very, very good. Very, very believable. Anytime they try and speed it up, it just doesn't have the right weight, the right flow to it. I don't know. And this just comes from somebody who's watched a lot of videos of sharks because I am obsessed.
Rightfully so. I mean, I feel like in the like newer Godzilla movies, they did a good job of like putting that like size and weight perspective to something that big. Like you don't see Godzilla's like sprinting through the city because it just doesn't work that way.
When you do see him run, you
He's
feel
already
that
been
weight. You
going.
feel how much it takes to get that going.
Yeah.
It looks like he's moving slow, even though he's moving fast.
Yeah.
They have not nailed that down for sharks yet.
Not at all.
It's very hard to.
They're still doing like kick turns.
It's hard to do the weight of water plus the weight of the shark. It's hard to do that in CGI and get that right.
It's a lot. And it wasn't dialed in. And the good scenes are slow scenes for the most part.
Yeah. What else you got for me?
That was the last one on my good. Was my sweet little Roomba with the shark fin on it because I just loved it. I loved it.
and I got a little. I got another one to just tag right onto that. I love the hamster ball bit.
Oh,
where
so good.
The dude's rolling around in the hamster ball. I think that's a great setup. And then when he does get eaten,
and they leave it up for a while too, which I love.
It's just.
They drop it in there real quick, and you're just like, no way. There's hamster balls, guys rolling around out there like, let's go. Come on.
That is the stupid that we needed throughout the entire movie.
I loved it.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So
and there were some good fucking scenes with on that beach where there's just hundreds of people just kicking and splashing of it just gliding underneath them.
Yeah.
And that's another one of those slow scenes where it still looks killer.
Yeah.
Like the lighting, the size, the perspective, that bird's eye view is just fucking bitching. It's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, and I wish in that scene that the shark was just like taking mouthfuls of people.
Right, that would have been fucking cool.
That would have been too good.
Before anyone really noticed.
Yeah, just kind of opening his mouth and people just getting like sucked in.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't even remember exactly what happens, and then it's like a very close pan shot of someone just yelling shark, and it's just pandemonium. Like,
it was the one white woman on the beach. For some reason. Very.
Of course it was.
Right. This makes so much sense. You have this Mandarin beach and one white woman yells shark and everybody seems to understand. I mean, I don't know. Everyone knows.
It's the only other line in that scene that's in English.
Yeah.
Because the other line that they deliberately said in English was, "Oh, hey girls, come over here." And it's the dudes on like a floating anchored dock to the chicks on an anchored dock. Yeah. And then it catches the chain and brings the women dock to crashing into them.
I mean, it makes sense because most of other cultures are really well versed in
absolutely
English because they're just smarter than Americans.
Exactly.
So it does make sense.
They're bilingual.
That
we're a bunch of fucking assholes.
Yeah. Checks out. And speaking of assholes, we're gonna jump right on into the shit. But before we get to that, we do have one other award that we like to give out here on the Jony Jawscast. Again, stems from our very first episode.
That's right.
Where I was a big fan of Michael Caine's character in Jaws of Revenge. His name is Hoagie. I think he's a great character. I think he's got all the suave and debonair of James Bond and has all the craftiness and wittiness of Indiana Jones and has all the handsomeness of Michael Caine. And he's got some really good jokes too. But Brian, however, just seemed to hate every single thing about him. So we came up with the Hoagie Award, which is the character that one of us loves and one of us hates. So I really have no idea because we didn't discuss this one at all. So I'm very curious to see what you came up with as far as characters are concerned for the Hoagie Award.
Is it supposed to be who I hate or who you love?
It could be
either?
Either or.
I had a really hard time with Paige Kennedy, who is DJ. And it's just...
I think we could both agree that neither one of us enjoyed him.
That just bothered me. I wanted him to be like a fun comedic relief, and it just never landed.
He's not particularly good. So I don't know if we could dial that in.
It wasn't even like he was supposed to be a hero. I was just like this person that I wanted to really like and just couldn't get on board with. And I was like, God damn, I'd be really pissed if Johnny likes this guy. But man, he just was a waste of space. And
I could not argue for him on the list. So what else? Do you have anybody else that you really like?
I put Toshi because I really liked Toshi, but that's...
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to really dislike Toshi.
Right.
The only one that I thought for a hot minute that, like, you seemed okay with, that I was like, no, I want to kick her overboard. And then I think towards the end...
Well, you can't say the kid.
Yeah.
No, you like the kid?
No, I didn't like the kid.
Oh, I didn't like the kid either.
I thought you liked the kid.
Oh, no, I couldn't stand her.
I thought you liked the kid for a little bit, and I was like, God, this is going to be...
Oh, see, I was wondering, because there was a scene where I was just like, God damn, that's a terrible child actor. And he didn't say anything, and I was like, either he didn't hear me, or he disagrees very strongly.
It was a moment of disappointment, because I was like, oh, dude, I was convinced that was going to be our Hoagie Award right there. And I was like, fuck, I don't know if we have a Hoagie Award now.
I don't know if we do. God damn, no, that was horrible. Yeah. She was just... I don't know if she was too good or too bad for the role, but man, it just bothered me so much. And honestly, I don't know if I can even just write it off to the movie as just being
I don't
writing.
Like, if I could make an argument, I don't think she's particularly bad. It's just that they're trying to write her as kind of like one of the Olsen twins. Like, she's too smart for her own age. And
that's a good way to put it.
I don't like it when they do that with kids.
Same.
It's like, dude, you're 8 years old. You're not the smartest person in the room. Like, I don't like it when they write kids that way.
Same. Thank you. Okay. Yep.
I do like the bit where she's like walking away. Like, Lori's like, you owe me a soda, and she's like, fine. Because I'm like, that's something that kids do. They just repeat their word as they like walk away. I'm pretty
sure that's the scene when I said,
yeah, that is the exact moment where you're like, that's a horrible child actor. And I was like, that's actually the one bit that I think she did good in, because as a parent, I'm like, yeah, no, that's what kids do. That is absolutely what kids do. Yeah. So, but I really do think if we kind of touched on it already, if there really is a Hoagie Award, and I think this is it, we kind of talked about even before the movie began,
right?
That it's probably going to be Rainn Wilson, because I think you do like him, and I just don't think he's right. I think he's too charismatic for the role. I think he's too naturally likable that he doesn't fit what they really are.
More of a douchebag.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They did.
I liked him right out the gate, like we talked about, but for that role, no, you're totally right. They needed someone who can be like just a cold hard dick. You can't play both. Yeah. No matter how they could have wrote it the same way, but he could have still rode that side of just being a fucking asshole. Yeah. And I think he could pull it off.
Probably.
He's too nice.
You know, like our boy in God, what's that movie? What's that movie that they made in like 1983 where it was like it had a shark in it, right? And that one. It was like 3D. What was that movie? It had like it was about teeth, right? What was that movie? It was like Teeth 3D.
I hate you so much.
Yeah, you know, if they had come up with a character kind of like that guy from Teeth 3D, I think his name was Philip Fitzroyce. Managed to make someone so fucking dastardly charming, so fucking
you like him,
so cool.
You want him to win, but you're also just like, I don't ever want to hang out with that guy.
Philip Fitzroyce, our previous winner of the Hoagie Award.
Yeah, he's a Hoagie fucking Hall of Famer. Cocksucker. That guy's still alive. Let's get him on the podcast. I bet
he's very much dead.
Damn! Missed our chance. That's what we wanted to bring you on this podcast because we fucking hate you.
It's when you say cocksucker when the shark ended up like sucking on him. He was just like lodged in his throat.
I forgot. He's like stuck in there.
That's how fucking Dennis Quaid saves the day. Fucking Fitzroy's hand is holding a grenade and he's still in his mouth. Like, the shark hasn't swallowed Fitzroy's. It's been like fucking hours in the movie, and his hand's still just like hanging out. Like,
it's really horrible.
How are you not choking? Do sharks not? I don't know. Sharks gag reflex.
Whole different Wikipedia search.
At us on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Jony Orr Show. At us. Do sharks have a gag reflex, please? We need to know.
Some dark web shit right there.
Speaking of dark web shit, we're on to the shit. Terrible segue. I'm embarrassed.
I liked it.
Big fan. Brian, how much time do we have? What didn't you like about this movie?
This list is twice as long as my
as is mine.
Yeah. My first one is that Dr. Heller is a fuck. From the beginning of the movie to the moment he decides to sacrifice himself, he's just a fuck.
That was the very first thing that I wrote. Yes. So I was like, why is the doctor giving Jonas shit for saving everyone's lives,
including himself?
And I mean, this is gonna go back. We're gonna touch on this again in a little bit, but
yeah.
The opening of the movie just does not sync up.
No.
And it never has, because the doctor is busting Jonas's balls, saying that he's mentally unstable when Jonas made the correct call and saved everyone's lives within seconds. And there's just really no way you can debate that.
Well, sacrificing his best friends.
Yes.
To save the people he had already rescued.
Yes.
He counted the numbers and went for it.
Yes.
Made the call.
Exactly.
Including the doctor.
So the doctor is absolutely a tool. He's a tool in the book too, but it makes sense in the book because...
Well, yeah, it's a different case, right?
It's... The beginning of the book plays very differently than the beginning of the movie.
I believe that.
But I hope you believe me. I'm not just making this shit up just for the fuck of it. Huh?
Sometimes.
Fair enough. But yeah, he is. If I was going to say anything about Dr. Heller, I would say he is the fuckiest of fuckfaces.
Right. And in the movie, not only does he criticize his choice, he is also his exit interviewee or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no, that is the other thing that I followed up with.
Yeah.
In my bads a little bit later on, they show Dr. Heller's analyzation of Jonas.
Yeah.
In a video clip, and I'm like, and I leaned over to you and I told you, I was like, there is no way that someone who was a part of said disaster would be allowed to be the analyzing doctor of the person that made that choice. There is no way in hell that would ever happen.
Such a shit show.
Because that doctor would also be analyzed himself.
Yeah. And he makes the call write him off and ruin his career as he had pressurized psychosis or whatever it was.
Never in a million years would that ever happen.
No.
That you could not have someone who was a part of the same disaster be in charge of diagnosing someone else in the disaster. It just would not happen.
Yeah.
It's preposterous. It's hippoposterous, as the kids are saying.
And I do love that interview, the video recording of that interview ends. Jason just reaches over to fucking land one on him. It just cuts out.
Yeah, that son of a bitch had it coming.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, alright, what else you got?
My next one was how horrible of a mother. What's her name is? Sun Yin. Just atrocious from the moment she enters the screen after it's said catastrophe.
She just ignores her daughter left and right.
Yeah. She's just completely dismissed.
Half the time when the daughter's around, her mother's not around.
Yeah. She's not even in the scene.
It is a very and I mean, then you see the relationship kind of with Su Yin and her father, and you're like, all right, cool, makes sense. But
really,
still
Like, she goes to start the rescue. Like, I'm just going to go get them. I'm taking a sub down. I'm going to
Yeah.
tow them out. And they're like, don't go. Everyone's arguing with her. She just takes off. And the only thing that stops her is the fact that she happens to run into her daughter, who is playing with, like, dolls in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh. And then she goes anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, the fact that her daughter is just, like, playing in those, like, glass tubes by herself. When Meg breaks through.
Multiple times.
Stomps the fucking thing. And they're like, my daughter. And it's like, wow. You're
also
in an
just
underwater.
Like, can we just never in a million years, if I thought something bad was gonna happen to my kid, would I be like, my son?
Yeah, you're gone. Yeah.
And maybe that's a dialect thing. Maybe it's a different sort of thing in their country.
What you have to think is Jason Statham standing there in a towel, wooing you. It's like,
yeah, your brain might be
who?
turned to oatmeal. I get that. Yeah, no, I get that. Fucking 6-pack, perfect hairline.
my son.
You might have got me there.
Yeah,
but yeah, that just kind of
benefit of the doubt.
I would say that sort of stuff, that dialogue kind of ties into a lot of my negatives, which I'll just kind of.
Oh yeah.
I'll just kind of.
Yeah.
A lot of these are synced up.
Yeah.
So, what I had for this is just right out the gate, really bad writing.
Yep.
That's just what this.
That covers about 2 or 3 of mine.
The writing in this film is abhorrent. It is atrocious. I can't say enough bad things that this is not the way people talk.
No.
Ever. I leaned over to you a couple of times.
Yeah.
I was like, who talks like this?
Yeah.
No one.
Painful.
One of the few exceptions is when DJ's on one of his rants that 99.9% of it is just like, yeah, some white guy wrote this dialogue for this African American, and this is not the way they talk.
Pushed it so sassy and over the top.
The one exception is when he breaks and he's like, these are my friends, man. Like, that moment is so real and so believable that I'm like, yeah, no, that actually cuts deep, and I believe that. Like, he is hurt and he doesn't know how to process the fact that all of his friends are dying right now.
Yeah.
But most of the actors can't rise above the material.
No.
One exception really being Cliff Curtis.
Yep.
And I said the dialogue feels like it's trying to be Marvel in its prime, but comes across feeling like Marvel movies now.
Damn. That's so accurate.
It's just so much tongue-in-cheek. Like, anytime there's ever anything remotely serious happening, it is immediately undercut by a joke, by a witty comment, by something smarmy.
Yeah.
It's just not how people talk. It's not how people react. It undercuts the realism. It undercuts everything that could make this movie scary, frightening, or relatable.
Damn, that's a good way to put it, though. That's super accurate. As a Marvel fan, that is so accurate.
And this is coming from someone who likes everything up to Endgame. Like, I like all of that. I think all
that includes Iron Man 2.
That's
That's up until Endgame. That covers.
We might need to
everything.
We might need to do a podcast on Iron Man 2 just to fucking air this shit out. But that is an argument for another day. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit trail. But yeah, I'm sitting there thinking about Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, thinking about Chris Evans and Captain America, Winter Soldier, Civil War, and just how good so much of that is, even with its smarminess, even with its over the top witty dialogue,
book shit.
Yeah,
there's still some like emotion.
Yes,
because it doesn't just immediately get washed out with
and they're
shitty, humorous lines.
They are trying so hard in this movie to emulate that, and it just falls flat every single time. It's rough. It's really rough, and poor Jason Statham, I told you, it's just like, I feel so bad for him because he's forced to deliver all of these really, really bad lines, and you can almost see it in his eyes that he's like,
he is just trying his fucking best.
I know this is bad, but this is what I gotta do, sort of a deal. Like, I signed a contract, they're paying me money, forgive me. But yeah, so much of that, dude, this movie is just bad writing upon bad writing. It's not only the dialogue, it's the story. It is just a poorly written script.
Yep.
And if you don't have a good script, how in the world can you expect to have a good movie?
Yep.
Script is the basis of everything.
Yep.
So I think at one point they had a good script and studio execs got in and they're like, no, let's make it a little bit more family friendly. Let's make it a little bit more funny. Let's make it a little less violent. Let's make it a little bit more, you know, jokey, over the top, silly.
Right.
And they just ended up making this cookie cutter of a very, very bland script that tried to appeal to too many people. And you know what? It ended up being fairly successful financially, so I guess they got what they wanted. But in the end, you just end up with a film that has no fucking teeth.
Yep.
Pun intended, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, that covers most of mine as far as bad goes. I mean, aside from like little niche things, like, okay, we made it to the bottom of the Marinara Trench, whatever you want to fucking call it.
Like 15 minutes flat.
15 minutes. Like, and then caught her after said 15 minutes within 2.
Look it up. How deep is the Marina Trench? Like, how long would it take to travel to the bottom of it? While you're looking that up, I have the Toshi picture when they're like looking up the Megalodon, and for some reason they have like Toshi's picture pulled up on the computer.
Yeah, right?
Like, we forgot what our friend looked like. This is our friend that just died. Here's our picture of Toshi, just in case you guys forgot. And the CGI is just bad. This movie is pretty much nothing but CGI. Backgrounds,
rough.
Foregrounds, water, animals,
rough.
You know, whole environments. It just does not look real. I'm watching this film and I'm going, they are just on a sound stage with green screen everywhere around them. It just hurts my fucking soul because, I'm sorry, you just go and watch the OG.
Yeah.
And I can fucking taste the salt water in the air every time I watch that movie, man.
Oh, yeah.
And when I watch this film, I feel like I'm in some, I don't know, virtual reality, like,
basically
candy cane bullshit at Disneyland. That's just what I feel like. It doesn't feel real at all.
What it made me think of was, in comparison, it's like a good and a bad, was like The Shallows, where she's like so like very much stuck on that rock and it feels so real, and like the texture of it and like just everything about it, the depth of the water and everything, and there's nothing about that in this movie. Like, that was the first thing that came to mind when you were talking about, like, just there's nothing, like, tangible about it. You can't, like, latch on to any little thing that makes it feel real. Where in that movie, you're just, like, you feel like you're stuck on that rock. Like, you feel the roughness. Like,
and you know what a testament to The Shallows is?
Yeah.
Is that most of that movie was filmed on a sound stage.
Yeah.
Almost all of it was.
Yeah.
And that's how much better that film looks. And that's how much better their shark looks.
Yeah.
Their shark looks
man.
real.
Yeah.
99% of that movie. There are a couple of clips towards the end where it gets a little like fucking Pinocchio-esque where Monstro jumps out of the water, the shark jumping out of the water where it's got the flare on it. I'm like, okay, that looks like a cartoon.
Yeah.
But Shallows, and we will get there on this podcast.
Yeah, baby.
But that is a movie where they took the assignment seriously.
Yes, there's a lot more depth to that. It feels so much more like visceral.
Speaking of depth,
it takes 4 hours and it is 7 miles to get to the bottom of the trench.
And they did it in like 20 minutes of the movie.
7 miles deep.
4 hours.
Yeah.
We talked about just like I was like, there's no way that they could dive. They're
7 miles deep.
Yes, and they're diving, and they said they did it in like 15 or so minutes, or that she was 15 minutes ahead of him.
Yeah.
And the way that they cut it, like they don't cut it in a way that it suggests that it takes 4 hours. They cut it in a way that it suggests it takes about 20 minutes. And Jonas is diving deep. He's diving so fast that he catches up with Soon
he gets a nosebleed.
Fairly quickly, and he just gets a nosebleed. His fucking submersible would have been destroyed if he had tried to take it that deep that fast.
Yeah.
Just does the science is not there.
Yeah.
So
it was a little rough.
But it's the movie. It's totally cool. Any random thoughts for me? Do you have anything at all?
Yeah. Where are my random thoughts? Yes. Most of my random thoughts were Jaws references.
Yeah.
I had a lot of them. Well, a lot being
Go ahead.
a handful.
What you got?
The first one that I picked up on, which was when they were like coming into that harbor where everyone's out there swimming, it's like hundreds of people, was the first close-up scene is a group of people on a banana boat.
Mm-hmm.
And they just blow past the camera real quick, and I'm like, banana boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all I could think of. And I was like, my God.
Which is fantastic. I just had never registered that before.
It's
and
so
when you
quick.
said it, I was like, oh, that's a good catch. That is a very good catch.
Like, it just stood out so fast, and it's like a 2-second clip, if that. And
Banana boat for all you Jaws the Revenge fans, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, baby. You brought up the other one with the dog.
The dog is named Pippin.
Pippin.
Just like the dog in Jaws that gets eaten.
Yep. This dog does not.
This dog does not.
It swims at about 20 knots.
It's the fastest swimming
Yorkie.
dog known to man. It's a little ridiculous.
And the other one was the kid on the beach nagging his mom with a raft in hand to go swimming. And nagging and nagging and nagging. And finally she's like, fine, go swimming. Just stay close.
A mom that definitely looks like she is the proper age for the child that she mothered. Not like Jaws.
60-year-old.
Alex Kittner's 60-year-old mom. Who, Lee Remick, excuse me, not Lee Remick, I was just listening to stuff on The Omen. Let's see, I'm gonna get this right now. Because, I love to say someone's name, not remember it, and I gotta look it up immediately and take fucking 15 minutes to get it. Oh my God! Why am I seeing this? This is preposterous. on. Twice. Chris Pine.
That was an aggressive Dungeons and Dragons ad.
Yes. It's
Oh my god.
very upsetting.
Yeah,
I just wanted to see the full cast for Jaws.
Half of their budget right there.
Yeah, here we go. It's coming in. Here we go. I got it. Here we go. Lee Fero. Fuck you. It's not my fault. Guys, I apologize. We do this podcast drunk.
Chris Pine.
This is one of the fun parts about doing this podcast is we do it drunk. One of the not so fun parts about this podcast is I can't remember shit when I'm drunk. She was 45 years old
At the time of filming?
at the time of filming.
Really?
Yeah. She lived to be 90.
Good for her.
She
God
died.
damn.
She died from COVID.
Oh, that hurts my soul.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I mean, 90's solid, dude. That's solid.
God,
Like she doubled her. Like from the time of filming Jaws, she lived an entire life.
Yeah.
After that,
That's
you
so
know?
cool. Good for her, man. If I could be 90, I'd be a very happy person.
I mean, maybe you might be a miserable 90-year-old. Pretty miserable fucking 31-year-old. 32. How old are you?
31. How dare you?
You said you were about to say 30. You forgot that you were 31.
I usually do. Hard 27.
Dude, I've been 30 for the last fucking 5 years.
That's
You
right.
kidding me? I turned 30 when I was 28, and I'm still 30 now.
When did we start filming? I was like 25. Yeah, I'm 25.
Yeah,
So.
25 is solid. I have one random thought, and we can kind of wrap up this episode with this.
Hit me.
How are underwater labs built? It's always bothered me. Are they like put together underwater with like people with like submersibles and in wetsuits and shit like that underneath and like a whole bunch of stuff, and then they suck the water out? Are they built up top and
then
slow,
seal them and lower them?
Yeah,
in?
I don't know,
because they wouldn't sink.
Yeah,
they'd have to like drain the water and then repressurize it.
Mm-hmm. If you know how underwater labs are built, please at the Jony Horror Show on Twitter or on Instagram.
Yeah, specifically those like hamster tubes that are in the MEG, because now I'm curious.
Yeah, because they exist, right? I've only ever seen them in movies and cartoons.
Like horrible shark movies. So
yes,
I really want to know if that's a thing.
But I feel like they have to be based in somewhat reality.
They have to be put down there hollow, drained. Like sealed, drained, and pressurized. Yeah, that's the only way I can figure. Filled with air, you're not gonna be able to get it down there.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm also worried I sound like a fucking idiot right now.
Yeah,
maybe that's exactly.
Or maybe they build it underwater. Like I feel like I've seen stuff of people building shit underwater, but the fuck do we know? One of us kind of went to college, the other did not. So. And
damn, now I'm curious.
And just like you're curious which one of us went to college and which one of us did not, we will now be taking bets. Not much like the bets that we will be taking as to how this fucking movie even got made after years and years in development hell, because I think the original Meg novel came out in like 1995. Let's see if I can confirm that. 97!
Damn,
so this film has been in development hell since like 1998, basically, because
it came out in 2018, right?
Yes. This is essentially...
It feels like it was longer ago. But...
Essentially like 20 years in development hell. Because Meg came out and was a hit, and obviously spawned a significant number of sequels.
How many books are there now?
There is 6 books, I believe, with a 7th on the way. How many do I got up there? Yeah, I got 6 up there, and I do believe the 7th is going to be the last one.
Yeah.
But we will be discussing the novel and the making of the film in our next 2 episodes on MEG in this segment of the Jony Jawscast. Thanks for tuning in to hear our thoughts on the film starring good old I was gonna say Jonas Taylor, but it's Jason Statham and Cliff Curtis and what was it Lee Bing Bing or Bing Bing Lee? It was Bing Bing Lee.
Bing Bing Lee.
Yes. And Ruby Rose. Yeah. The 2018 film that we saw in Las Vegas on during my bachelor party.
Oh yeah.
I am your host, Johnny Horror. With me,
Brian Keller.
the one and only. And thanks for tuning in to the Jony Jawscast. And we will continue our discussion on the MEG shortly. It's going to be shortly for us. For you guys, it'll probably be like a week.
Yeah, I need another beer.
Or 2. I need several drinks.
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to be a week.
We're just in here a week. They don't let us out.
Ration them,
Adios, motherfuckers!